The new guidelines from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention suggest it is safe for fully vaccinated people to gather indoors with each other without a mask. In addition, vaccinated people can visit with someone in a single household who is unvaccinated without protections. The CDC also recommends vaccinated individuals do not need to quarantine or get tested if they come into contact with someone who has COVID-19. The CDC is continuing to recommend that fully vaccinated people still wear well-fitted masks, avoid large gatherings, and physically distance themselves from others when out in public. The CDC also advised vaccinated people to get tested if they develop symptoms that could be related to COVID-19. The CDC guidance does not speak to people who may have gained some level of immunity from being infected and recovering from the coronavirus. This is yet another reason why I am trying to get vaccinated, because I want a little bit more freedom. I do. So, and I just talked to my sister yesterday. She got vaccinated. A lot of people around me, just in different states, are getting vaccinated. And it's, you know.
We're in a rough spot here in Los Angeles County because
Exactly.
it's running smoother just right over in Long Beach.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. They seem to be way ahead of us.
They are. It
It
is an absolute mess over here in LA County trying to figure out where and how and when you can actually get vaccinated. I've reached out to all my community, you know, everybody in the medical field, and they're like, sorry, sister, can't help you.
Well, I want to give you guys some insight. So I read this on Twitter. You know, I live on Twitter. So there's this program in the state of California, actually. It's called My Turn Volunteer. So pretty much the state of California launched a new program on Friday that gives residents opportunity to get vaccinated by volunteering to help others inoculated at sites across the state. So pretty much if you volunteer for 4 hours, you have the opportunity to get vaccinated. It's called My Turn Volunteer. So they're saying that some locations are asking for 8-hour shifts, but as long as you volunteer for 4 hours or more, you can get vaccinated. So please go check that out if you live in the state of California. Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting as well. You know, I in the beginning of your story, Melissa, I also feel like we shouldn't be telling people, even if you get vaccinated, you can sit in a room with other people that without a mask, because I feel like you give people an inch and they take a mile. I feel like until until majority of the people are vaccinated, because what are the chances, Brooke, I know you want to hop in, what are the chances of everybody in your friend group being vaccinated? You're going to have somebody that hasn't been vaccinated. I just feel like don't even put that information out there yet.
I'm not, you know what's so crazy? I'm not worried necessarily about, I feel like people can trust that their friends are telling the truth about whether they're vaccinated. But what I'm already exhausted by is just what I know is going to happen. The thought of hearing people out in public refusing to abide by the rules. And the rules are still the same out in public regardless, but saying, well, I'm vaccinated. I don't like to ride the elevator with strangers. It's small. You cannot, it's not 6 feet. Like there's some targets where you have to park and then you have to take the elevator, and the elevator is so small. I do not like to get on the elevator with strangers. And I'm like, oh, do you mind if we take it separately? I'm vaccinated.
Right. You know what? I saw this tweet. I saw this tweet by this random person today, and it brought it full circle. It was like, oh, pretty much the CDC is telling everyone that you can talk about the parties that they were already having. So it's kind of like we were having parties, but we weren't talking about it. But now it's kind of like, oh, because I'm vaccinated, I can tell everyone that we're having the parties. I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
All right, well, experts say that a new variant is now rapidly spreading across the U.S. and according to the CDC will likely become the predominant variant this month. The CDC says the next several weeks are critical and that the community's act could better or worsen COVID-19 numbers, according to CNN. Health officials, including Dr. Anthony Fauci and CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky, have urged Americans to continue masking up and staying COVID-19 safe, even as states move to eliminate restrictions. So far, more than 60 million Americans have gotten at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, according to CDC data. More than 31.4 million people are now fully vaccinated, the data shows. That's roughly 9.5% of the U.S. population. So basically what we're saying, don't go back to these streets just yet. All right, we talk about some of these new variants that are out right now. We're talking about South African strain, which I'll tell you some of the states that it's in. It's in California, it's in Connecticut, Illinois, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, Massachusetts, Texas, Virginia, and D.C., and the Brazil strain as well, which is in Minnesota and Oklahoma. So we still have things we have to battle. That's why even the conversation we just had a couple stories ago, it's important that we continue to be smart about it. we're so anxious to get back to these streets. They're like, hey, you vaccinated, you good? All right, let's go hang out.
Romeo,
Pause.
that's exactly why Texas, I don't understand. I feel like, why are we rushing with
Their
Texas?
cases are kinda going up.
Did we not learn anything? California, what happened with us in November, October, November, December should have been market research for every other state to show you if you rush it, then you're going to have a rush of cases. Like, it makes perfect sense. So I don't understand why we're rushing, but I'm glad you mentioned Brazil, Romeo, because doctors in Brazil are saying that the virus is behaving differently and it's very aggressive. They're saying that it's actually, people are getting seriously ill faster in Brazil. And this is for people under the age of 30 with no underlying health conditions. Like, this is something we need to take very serious, and we need to not rush this
With
at
higher
all.
risk of death as well with that too. So.
You know what's crazy? I'm not even rushing to get back outside. Just the reality is that crowds are just not it right now, regardless of whether you're vaccinated or not. I am just ready to stop being afraid of a deathly illness just when I'm out trying to do everyday things. That's why I want to be vaccinated.
At the end of the day, I just wish all the states could come together and say, you know what, instead of you having this rule, we having our rule. Let's just shut down everything. Let's chill out to like June or July. And everybody can just go back to doing what you do. But
you got to move to Italy for that kind of, or Australia or New Zealand for that kind of protection.
True.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
you gonna
I
move
just
to New
also
Zealand?
wanted to tell you, Demi, myturn.gov, I just tried to apply. I got rejected. I don't know why. I have no idea. I literally just like clicked on stuff.
wow.
Really?
But I swear my phone is listening to me because an article from the New York Times just popped up and it says, are you hunting for leftover vaccine?
Oh my gosh.
This site will match you with a clinic.
See,
so
look at
more than
that.
500,000 people have signed up for Dr. B. That is the letter
I am
B.
number 101,000 on Dr. B, okay?
Okay, so then you already know about it. So it's a service that promises to match you with clinics struggling to equitably dole out extra doses before they expire.
I love it. Okay, interesting. Thank you for that, Melissa.
We're really
No,
trying.
look, we are trying to get.
We want to do it obviously fairly in the right way, but if you have an extra vaccine that you don't want, that will expire, I want it along
know.
with a million other people.
I love it. Okay, now actually staying on the topic of vaccines, leading airline and business groups are asking the Biden administration to develop temporary credentials that would let travelers show that they've been tested and vaccinated for COVID-19, a step that airline industries believe will help revive travel. Various groups and countries are working on developing vaccine passports to allow more travel, but airlines fear that regional credentials will cause confusion and will not be widely accepted. The groups include the main U.S. and international airline trade organizations, airline labor unions, and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. The White House did not immediately comment. The World Health Organization and the United Nations aviation arm are also working on one type of information that includes in those credentials. While the airline industry groups are particularly interested in having the U.S. Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention take a leading role that would hopefully increase certainty that information in the credentials are legitimate. So I was reading on Twitter, and a lot of people are not really excited about this. Some people are kind of like, oh, it sounds cool, but then some people are not. Let me tell you what somebody said. A guy, again, I don't know, I just follow people that say cool stuff. This man on Instagram, this man on Twitter, but it was a great comment. He said that he thinks that vaccine passports are just a way to get us, to make us feel like, oh, we're going to have to do this, because they know that they know we don't want it. They know that we don't want to get vaccine passports. So they're like, hey, just letting you guys know, everyone's going to have to get a vaccine passport. So that's a way, like I think Brooke was saying 2 stories ago, to get everybody to run and get vaccinated, so that we think like we have to get vaccinated. But really, in all actuality, they might not really make this a real thing, because it would be hard to make every single flight possible. And then you would lose a lot of money. Airlines would lose a lot of money with all the people that don't want to get vaccinated. But also, if I could just tell you one more thing. Another person I follow on Twitter, he said, I have to say, he says, passports are a slippery slope, I promise you. He says pretty much that, how would you feel if every single time you had to get on a flight, you had to go run to a pharmaceutical company to shoot you up with an experimental injection? And he said that it's a slippery slope. So I want to know what you guys think about that too. Because if you had to get on a flight to go to Atlanta and you had to go get this vaccine, but we don't know we don't know what's inside of it, that's kind of scary to me.
I've definitely been saying that vaccination passports were going to be a thing.
Yeah.
But for international travel, if it's domestic travel, then that's a whole other ball of wax that's going to be insane. You're right. There is going to be a lot of people that are up in arms about that. I mean, people don't even want to wear masks, much
Right.
less having needing a vaccination record to get on an airplane for a domestic flight. So I don't see
it happening in the United States where you have to show your papers in order to do anything. I just, anything like that, but definitely other countries.